Can you guys believe this? These hyper-realistic images were generated in a split second right on a low-end PC. No massive graphics card needed, no waiting around forever. Today we've got our hands on the latest weapon to make the impossible happen. Hello everyone, I'm Saltai, welcome back to the channel. You guys are probably already super familiar with Flux Dev or Flux Pro, right? The quality is insane, but let's be honest, the generation speed can be a drag. And for those of you on lower end specs, it's still pretty much out of reach. But good news is, finally here, Black Forest Labs just dropped Flux Klein, a model that is small but absolutely mighty. It's been optimized for speed and designed specifically to run locally on low-end PCs. In this video, I'll walk you through the A to Z of installing and building a ComfyUI workflow for Flux Klein to turn your computer into a high-speed image generation machine instantly. And as always, if you do enjoy today's content, make sure to whack a like on there for me, consider subscribing, and of course, ring that bell notification icon so you never miss any top-tier AI tools. All right, let's get straight into it. Okay, before we jump into building the workflow, let me give you a quick brief on Flux Klein for those who haven't caught up yet. This is the latest brainchild just unveiled by Black Forest Labs. The killer feature that makes this a rare gem. It's all in one. Image generation and image editing packed into a single model. No messy switching required. A little interesting trivia for you. The name Klein is German for small. The name says it all. It hints at a compact model optimized for size but delivering lightning-fast generation speeds. Right now, we have a total of 4 different Flux Klein versions for you guys to tinker with. However, for the scope of this video, I'm going to zero in on the strategic ace, Flux Klein 4B. Why? Simply because this is the lightest version, the most VRAM friendly for the vast majority of you watching the channel. Low-end rigs can still run this like a beast. I've compiled all the download links for these models in the corresponding Patreon post. Make sure to head over there and grab them so you can follow along. All right, let's dive into ComfyUI and piece together the workflow for this beast. As I teased earlier, Flux Klein is a 2-in-1 model handling both image generation and editing. But to keep things simple for you guys, I'm going to start with the absolute basics, the text-to-image workflow. If you caught my previous video on Flux Dev, this is going to feel super familiar because we've got a workflow that's practically identical to last time. We have the Flux Klein 4B model right here. Paired with it is the Qwen 3 clip model. Now pay attention here, when you're using the Flux Klein 4B model, you must use the Qwen 3 4B clip model. If you're rocking the Flux Klein 9B, then the clip model needs to be the Qwen 3 8B. Don't mix those up. Everything else is pretty standard territory. We've got our nodes hooking into the K-sampler node, followed by the decode via the VAE model, and finally the save image node to lock it in. But wait a second, do you notice anything strange? As you can see here, I'm only using 6 steps, and I haven't loaded up any turbo or lightning low arrays. Why is that? It's because this model has already been distilled from the Flux Klein base model, meaning you don't need to add any extra low arrays to boost the speed. That's exactly why the processing speed on this model is currently the fastest out there. Okay, so there you have it. The fastest image generation workflow available right now. Super simple, right? Now let's hit run and see if this workflow actually delivers. Wow, did you guys see that speed? Just a blink of an eye. And here, take a look at this result. An incredibly powerful Viking warrior. Usually the unwritten rule in AI is, if you want it fast, accept it's going to be ugly. If you want it beautiful, you gotta wait. But Flux Klein just smashed that rule to pieces. Look closely, guys. This is 2K resolution we're talking about. Rendered in just a few seconds, yet the details are razor sharp. From the fur textures on the outfit, the skin details, right down to the snowflakes, everything is precise and reproduced incredibly well. Okay, the workflow is up and running. However, one single image doesn't tell the whole story. To objectively evaluate the performance of Flux Klein 4B, I'm going to test out a few different scenarios, focusing specifically on human body reproduction, one of the toughest challenges for AI. First up, a close-up portrait. Here I have an image of an elderly woman. The model reproduces skin surface details like wrinkles and age spots quite well. A big plus in this shot is the depth in the eyes. It creates a sense of realism for the subject, avoiding that soulless look often seen in some older models. Next, a dynamic scene, a girl running in the rain. Overall, the model handles color and atmosphere pretty well. Details like wet hair or water droplets on the skin are reproduced relatively naturally. However, if you look closely, the teeth processing isn't entirely smooth. It still looks a bit unnatural. That said, for a 4B model, this result is still within an acceptable range. Finally, a full body scenario. This is where small-sized models often struggle with proportions. But as you can see, Flux Klein handles anatomical joints quite decently. The head-to-body ratio is balanced, the stance is natural, and there are no weird deformities in the limbs. Moving on, let's check out finger generation. This is the issue most of you guys care about. Let's see if this lightweight, high-speed model can handle it, shall we? As you can see here, I'm testing from easy to hard levels. First up, a hand covering the face. We've got an image generated with all 5 fingers right here. The skin quality is excellent and detailed. You can see the wrinkles and even the freckle placement here. Looks super realistic, right? However, being the picky guy that I am, I still have to nitpick a flaw. Notice the index finger? It's just a tiny bit longer than the middle finger. This is still a chronic illness common to most current models. I'll probably do a detailed showdown video later to see which model fixes this best. In the second example, I have the character holding a cup. Everything is still looking very solid. The grip looks natural. It feels like there's actual weight and force, not just glued to the hand. Especially, there's no twisting finger phenomenon or that weird 6th finger sprouting out like we occasionally saw back with Flux Dev. Good job. The final example is the hardest scenario, one where I've tested many solutions and the failure rate is super high. That is the violin playing pose. We can see the model generated a very accurate hand position. With a difficult pose like this, the rate of deformity is usually sky high. But here we see the fingers are still complete and logical. Okay, so as you can see, even though the model is extremely lightweight and the generation speed is fast, the quality remains very stable. So this workflow is definitely worth a try for you guys. Okay, so that wraps up the text-to-image part. Now let's move on to the second exciting feature, image editing. As I mentioned right at the start, Flux Klein is a multitask model. The awesome thing is you don't need to download any extra heavy inpainting or ControlNet models. We're going to leverage this exact same model to edit images directly. Let me show you how to transform that generation workflow we just used into an image editing workflow. First off, to edit, obviously we need to bring the original image in. I'm going to add the familiar node cluster. Load image to upload the photo, image scale to resize if necessary, and most importantly, VAE encode to encode this image into the latent format that the model can understand. Next is the most crucial step. For the model to understand the editing request based on the original image, we're going to need a node called reference latent. I'm going to use this node to blend the latent of the original image with the positive prompt and negative prompt up above. This is the bridge that tells the model which details to keep and which ones to change. A small but very important note. Remember to adjust the dimensions of the empty latent node to match the shape of the input image, just like I'm doing here. If the sizes are off, the workflow will throw an error immediately. Okay, super simple, right? Just a few connections and I've successfully converted it into a Flux Klein image editing workflow. Now let's test it out and see how it performs. I'm going to input a sample image of an elf girl holding a perfume bottle labeled Satai and use a simple prompt. Remove the perfume bottle, hit run, and let's wait for the result. Yeah, the processing speed is still incredibly fast, pretty much on par with the text-to-image workflow we just did. But what about the quality? Let's check it out. I'll put the original image right next to it so you can easily compare. My request was to remove the perfume bottle, and the model executed that perfectly. The perfume bottle in the character's hand has completely vanished. The most critical factor when it comes to image editing is consistency. Take a close look at the character, the outfit, and the background. Aside from the perfume bottle being removed exactly as prompted, I can hardly find any other unwanted changes. Every detail of the original image has been kept intact. So the workflow is operating very effectively and accurately. Okay, just like in the previous section, to give a more objective evaluation, I'm going to test out a few different editing scenarios. I asked the model to change the girl's hair color to pink, and here is the result. As you can see, this test is completely within Flux Klein's control. The hair color change is incredibly smooth. What's praiseworthy here is that the model didn't just paint over the hair, it handled the lighting and shadows on each strand perfectly. This makes the new hair look super natural and blend seamlessly with the overall image. Without the original photo, I bet no one would know this was edited. Next up, let's crank up the difficulty a bit. Still using a pretty simple prompt, I asked the model to change the character's outfit. The result returned is still extremely accurate. The new outfit isn't just the right style, the fit and the drape of the fabric look very natural, harmonizing with the character's pose. Most importantly, the face and background remain completely intact without any random morphing. And finally, the final boss challenge, completely changing the setting. I asked the model to essentially pick up this character from the old background and sit her down in a coffee shop. This is an extremely tough test for character ID retention. And look at that, the model completely understood my intention. It captured every facial feature of the character perfectly, removed the perfume bottle, and placed her in a sitting pose interacting with the cafe furniture in a totally logical way. The lighting was even adjusted to match the indoor environment. Absolutely impressive. Clearly through these tests, Flux Klein has proven it's not just a fast painter, but also a master photo editor. Let's recap what we have here. A model with blazing fast speeds, low VRAM requirements, quality that doesn't lose out to the big models, and multitasking, handling both generation and editing in a snap. Honestly, with performance like this, you guys can totally consider cleaning houses and deleting some of those heavy, outdated models on your hard drives to make room for Flux Klein. This deserves to be your go-to workflow whenever you need to get work done fast and clean. So there you have it. I've walked you through exactly how to build the Flux Klein workflow. I really hope you watched the whole video to catch all the little tips and tricks I dropped along the way. If you found this content helpful, make sure to smash that like button and share this video so more people can discover the channel. Thanks a lot, guys. For now, goodbye, and I'll catch you in the next one.